Hi, good morning all, and it's lovely to be here today. Very excited, and as we're talking about the topic of emotional intelligence today, excited yet with that fear and that nervousness that comes with us all because, my try harder and my perfectionist drivers are leading with me today. So it's been really lovely welcoming a few faces early on into the session and saying hello. So we're going to have a look at emotionally navigating the new normal. Now, interestingly, and I've been on a lot of webinars over the last 12, 13 weeks about what this new normal will be. And my coaching supervisor said something interesting to me. How can you create a workshop navigating the new normal, Katie, when nobody knows what the new normal was? So I'm not saying that I know what the new normal is. However, today I want to hold the space for everybody so that you can start to navigate in a direction that's going to be most helpful to you using some key skills that I'm going to share with you today. So, like I say, Katy Mason, I do have a purpose statement, and I built this purpose statement when I went self-employed back in 2013, and it's really interesting to know why you do what you do. And my purpose statement is to support and challenge individuals to tap into their hidden strengths and talents so that they can thrive and have that life of fulfillment that they truly deserve. So, as a corporate exec and a life coach, I believe that people can create that life. However, it does absolutely mean that we have to focus on being in that right mindset to help us get towards our goals. And when we get into that mindset, it's sort of a beautiful place because it allows us to accelerate, to push that accelerator pedal. So today I want you to be really open-minded, and please do take notes. I always invite people to take notes on my workshops. And again, we've got some polls and some chats that we're going to be inviting you to. Again, I'm just going to set this up because contracting is something that is very dear to my heart. So I want to create a safe space, but I want to also create a space today for everybody that's on the call so that you can feel that you can go into that stretch zone. However, I won't be sort of calling on anybody personally to answer a question or to push you to a place where you don't want to go today. However, I'm really hoping that some of you will talk to me today and share maybe some thoughts and feelings because we want to make it interactive, because we want to have some fun and we want you to ask questions today. So, please take it that it is that trusted, safe, courageous space that I'm creating for you today. We will be sending out the slides as well, and we are recording this, as Andrew confirmed earlier on. So that's the confidentiality check on the fact that we are recording this session. So I guess anybody that doesn't want to be seen on the recording, please obviously keep your camera off if that's better for you. So today we're going to have a look at, it's been designed to help you get ready for handling your emotions so that you can return to your workplace safely after the lockdown, and you can think about how you can adopt practical plans and approaches to navigate these uncertain times, and be aware really of our emotional intelligence that's tipping in. I'm doing this in 3 parts today, so I'm going to be keeping time as well. We're going to have a look at starting with your personal resilience so that you can bounce back into that potentially difficult economic climate and manage workplace scenarios as they come up. But I'm also going to be doing part 2, which I'm going to start to ask you to go on the journey with me today and think about your self-awareness and how emotionally prepared you are for any changes in your role and that workload upon that return to your busy isolation, after coming out of isolation, sorry. And the third part, we're going to have a look at the social awareness and the relationship management and how you can restore and maintain a healthy company culture so that you can support others in your team. So as I say, my purpose is very much about giving people a lot of support, but you've noticed in my purpose statement that there's some challenge, because having some challenge is always very useful. So, what is resilience? And so I just got the Oxford Dictionary definition to share with you, then we're on the same page from the start. And it is the ability of people or things to recover quickly after something unpleasant, such as a shock or injury, has occurred to us. And as we've all come through the last 12, 13 weeks, I don't know about you, but I've certainly, I journal every day and I've had changing emotions, and the example here, he showed great courage and resilience in fighting back from losing a position to win the game. We're all going to be looking at stepping up that courage as we step out, because again, whenever I was reflecting on this, I've had the COVID-19 period sort of pitched to me like we've been induced into a coma and we've had to bring ourselves now out of this. And my mum 16 years ago was really poorly and in intensive care for 5 weeks and had everything done for her. And suddenly, when she came out, it was amazing how I saw such a difference in her as a person, not being able to learning how to walk, talk. I was just absolutely flabbergasted. Now, I know it isn't quite as serious as that. However, we all have, unbeknown, whether we think we have or we don't think we have, we've really been affected by what's gone on. So today I want to bring this space that you can all start to go away with at least one thing you can do so that you feel that you can navigate it a little bit safer than before you logged on to this workshop this morning. Okay. So having that courage will make us much braver and we'll be able to face those new experiences and situations, or even if we feel that we've got some dangerous encounters, because Michael on the first workshop talked about managing stress and about us being, in the right mindset and emotionally aware. And you can probably see behind me, my monkey, my chimp, is called Chaos and comes with me at all times when I step up to something that's, pushing me in that direction of feeling like I'm stepping up to that challenge where I get those anxiety feelings or that apprehension. So we're being brave today, so it means that we've got to take a look in the mirror at yourself. So I'm going to ask you to take a look, but safely have a look. But again, hopefully I can stretch you a little bit further. We've got a virtual lineup here, and I'm just going to ask you to reflect on where you think you are right now, because that'll help me pitch the rest of today successfully for you. So I'm going to ask you to use your chat button. So for those that maybe are not familiar with chat, you would click on your chat option and you will select my name, Katy Mason, and I just want you to say on a scale of 0 to 10 where you might feel you are right now, where 0 is you're feeling that fear, that anxiety. You might even not be feeling anything right now because there could be that numbness of going back into where you are. The 10 is where you possibly feel that you are at your peak performance, your resilience, you're on fire, you're ready for it. So if you want to chat away to me, I'm going to have a look and I'm going to put some annotations where everybody feels that they are right now. So okay, so I'm just giving you sort of a flavour of where we feel we are right now in terms of, there are some more numbers, but this is just giving you an idea of where people feel that they are right now. So it's really good to see that quite a few of you are already on the journey of feeling that resilience already. And then we've got another few people that are quite not there with us, that are not feeling in that resilient place that would possibly like to be. So I'm just going to clear all that down and move on. Thank you for sharing that with me. Okay, so I'd just like to introduce you to the Cubular model. Some of you might have already seen the Cubular model, and again, I'm going to invite you in your own little trusted world to think about the last 12 weeks and think, where might you have gone on this Cubular change when you started in lockdown, right back on the 23rd of March, the official day. I know initially I was like thinking, I can't believe that Christmas, I was setting all my goals and I'd set some really courageous goals of where I was going in 2020. and really stepping up. And suddenly that was all taken away from me when the government decided to lock us down, and all the work went out of my diary initially. And I was like, oh, okay. Unfortunately, I was doing a lot of personal development, and I decided to go into acceptance and reflect by the help of my tutors and my coaches, to think, okay, this is now totally out of my control. Where can I go from here? So I let go of everything really and decided to take good self-care and just be with what was happening to me. I was in that free flow position. Where were you at that particular time? And again, if you could just put some maybe comments in chat, and I'll ask Andrew just to share a couple with us in terms of in the chat. Where initially were you at the start of lockdown? Andrew, have we got a couple of...
Denial, frustration.
Okay.
And a bit of fed up.
Okay.
Frustration seems to be a very common thread. Unreal, surreal. I have to agree with that one. I was in the surreal, unreal mode. I couldn't believe this was happening.
Yes.
But yeah, bewildered, surreal. These are some of the thoughts. Denial and frustrations do seem to be the two strongest things.
Yeah. So we're already having some feelings and emotions that are coming up, and feelings and emotions are very closely related, however, not quite the same thing. So initially we might feel something from an experience that's happened to us before, but it's not actually the experience, it's the emotion and the values and beliefs that sit underneath that feeling, that initial feeling, that actually links into that emotion that's quite often deeply rooted. So we know our feelings and they're quite conscious when that happens. Our emotions can actually be on both a conscious and a subconscious level. And you'll probably have found that you actually moved quite a bit around that change curve. So it isn't a sort of, it's a fluid journey. So you might have gone in at shock and suddenly been making some decisions in April, and then in May you might have got really frustrated. And I know I woke up on week 7 of my journal, my lockdown journal, and I felt really frustrated, and I felt, I don't feel like I want to do this anymore. And then I had to have a word with myself. So you can see how it flows. So I'm going to introduce you to what might be a new matrix to a few of you. And this is the support challenge matrix. And I work with the guys that have written the challenging coaching book, Dr. John Blakey and Ian Day. And John is an absolutely amazing mentor because he's done his doctorate in trust, and he can now measure trust. And he created this matrix because it's really key on an emotional intelligence level that we know where we are each day. So when I get up in the morning, I might seem a bit crazy to you, but I will say to myself, I'll look in the mirror, and every morning, that's the first thing I do when I wake up, I'll say, how are you feeling today, Katy? What reason do you feel that I might ask myself that question? So if somebody maybe just wants to put the hand up, and Andrew can see a hand up, why would I want to ask myself how I'm feeling today? We've got any hands raised, Andrew?
I don't see any in chat.
Okay. But that's fine.
Feelings, influence, recognize our own feelings so that we are then able to influence others.
Fantastic.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, wonderful. So the reason that I asked myself that, you know, I've got to be my biggest fan and look after myself and my mental and physical well-being, because I can't leave anybody else to take control of that. And it might be that throughout a day nobody else asks me that question. So by me knowing if I'm feeling a little bit stressed, I've got the opportunity to change that feeling, which I'm going to show you today. So you can see the matrix behind me because, you know, I train this on a regular basis. So I just want you to think about where on this matrix might you be now. So you can see that the stress zone is when we put too much challenge on ourselves, we send ourselves into the stress zone. If we put too much support on ourselves, we'll go and reach out for maybe that box of chocolates, sit on the sofa and rescue ourselves. If we are not giving ourselves any support or challenge because we don't quite know how we're supposed to be feeling right now, and we could have hit that place of not being attached to any feeling, and that numbness feeling. We'd be in the inertia apathy mode. The loving boot mode is the place where I just love to be, and is where I thrive and where my clients thrive. And that is when we give ourselves the right amount of support and the right amount of challenge for whatever we're doing. So as much as I call myself a loving boot coach, it goes in this way. It's support, 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 and challenge. And we call it carefrontation because we're actually taking really good self-care of us, but yet we can still up that challenge to lead us towards those goals that we want to achieve, both personally and on a business level. So just in the chat box, where might you be waking up today or arriving today? And you could be all over this matrix at any time of the day, depending on what's happening to you. So we can see that inertia and apathy, there's about 30%. Cozy Club, 35%, and we've got 5% in loving boot, which in high performance. Thanks for being so transparent and honest, because you're being true to yourself, and this is what emotional intelligence is. And then we have got 30% in the stress zone. Okay, so for those that are actually in loving boot, well done. For those that are in Cozy Club or inertia apathy stress zone, let's see by the end of the session if you can share what you're taking away that'll move you more towards living above the line. So I'm aiming to get you out of stress and inertia and get you into the Cozy Club at least, giving some self-love, and then you can transition across to the loving boot quadrant. Okay, everybody, are you up for the challenge? Okay, so keep in mind where you actually are right now on this matrix. It's going to be important for the rest of the journey. So some of you might be familiar with the Ux Dodson Curve. And the Ux Dodson Curve was created by two psychologists who were looking at human behaviour, and they saw a correlation between performance and the amount of tension that we put ourselves under. And they've done a lot of great studies. After this workshop, you can go away and you can have a look at what they've created. It's really interesting because there's a certain amount of time that we can be working in our best zone. And I know Michael talked about the Pomodoro effect, that if you break down your work into chunks, you can be more effective. And this is where I'm coming with the less is more quite often. So when we actually go to a point of too much tension and we've pushed up that challenge, our performance level can start to dip and we can go to a burnout place, which isn't great for us. And I know this, I got introduced to this model when I was actually developing my resilience coaching skills many years ago with the Coaching Academy. And the doctor that was running it, John Perry, said, just put a cross where you think you are right now. I was doing 2 diplomas. I was a full-time worker and a full-time mum of teenage boys, and I thought, wow, Katie, I shouldn't even be down in London right now. So because that was revealed to me, I was able to actually take back control and do something about it. Now the same effect can come if you are not feeling that your purpose is aligned and you're not getting enough fulfillment out of life, that we can go to the other end of the extreme of the curve and we can go into a rust out zone. And that rust out zone also can, bring us to that place of not feeling worthy, not having a purpose, just being totally unmotivated going back in. Now, the best place to be is just before the curve. And the reason for this is because if we are just before the curve, when we get it very acute with our emotional and tuned into our emotional intelligence, we can actually rein back our stress by actually saying, okay, let me have a look at what's going on. If I'm overwhelmed and I've got too much going on, how do I bring that back? So like I did, I decided I didn't need to put myself under the pressure of 2 diplomas. I'd pull back and just do one, do it really well, and just spread the time out. So can you see how that can happen? So I just want you today to think about where you are going to put your cross. Now my cross was way out over towards that B of burnout. I was dropping off the edge dramatically, and I haven't realised this. So it was a real eye-opener for me. So I hope it is for you today. Where might that cross be? And I want you to think about, if you're right over the other side like I were, what one thing do you need to do immediately today that'll start to pull you back over more towards the just before that curve? What one thing can you commit to do? I'm going to challenge you to write something down so you can take back control. So what we're going to do is we're going to be stepping into that circle of influence. So by taking back that control and being aware that we can change something, we're going to get back into our circle of influence. This is a model by of the Stephen Covey of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So when I've got somebody, I'll just admit, when we're proactive focused, when people focus on the things they can influence, you're going to expand that knowledge and that experience, and you're going to build trustworthiness just in yourself. So you're going to feel better about yourself as well. And as a result, your circle of influence is going to grow. And the idea is do what you can be in control of rather than what you're not going to be in control of. So reactive focus is when people focus on the things that they've less time and energy to spend, on the things that they can influence. And consequently, your circle of influence will shrink. Okay, so is there any questions at this stage? If you've got a question at this stage, please just type this into the chat box now. We'll just take maybe 1 or 2 quick questions because I'm conscious of time because we're nearly on 11 o'clock. Andrew, I can't see you anymore, so you're going to just have to speak to me and let me know if any questions are coming in about the first section.
Certainly. Just one observation so far, that much of what we're facing would depend on the workload and challenges that we have. And one of our attendees is feeling that he's entering sort of in a place of entering a new phase as he returns to work. And I'd certainly agree with that as well. I
feel absolutely. And my advice, to that situation is, put your kid gloves on, as I say, and please do up that support. And again, when we come on to the social awareness, if you're in that situation, I'll have some hints and tips before the end of this workshop today on what, I suggest you are going to be doing. But initially, just make sure you're taking good self-care. And I know some of the other facilitators have talked about this in the earlier webinars. So, if that means retreating a little bit, take yourself and do some cozy club time. And, be kind to yourself. Putting the pressure on is just going to tip you over that curve, and that's where we don't want people to be in that section. I mean, there should be, again, research shows that about 10% of the population would normally sit in inertia and apathy. So it's interesting today that the poll is showing that 30% of you are there. And thank you for your honesty. I really want to help and support every one of you to get out of that place and live above this line today. So what is the one thing you can do again today to be kind to yourself? Getting out in the fresh air, walking, or putting on some video, you can tell how old I am, but put some great film on that's going to make you laugh. Just take back that time, it's really important. Anything else, Andrew, or are we ready to move on?
I think we're ready to move on.
Fantastic. So part 2, are you ready to look at your own emotions? And again, there's a saying by Latezu, which knowing others is wisdom and knowing yourself is enlightenment. He was considered the father of the Chinese Taoism. He was a philosophy that advocated living a simple life. And we have suddenly created this all hectic life, where all hell lets loose. And so again, knowing our emotions and using emotions that are helpful to us is going to help us get in that optimum performance state. So take charge. This is my chaos that you can see behind me. Out, on a day trip, doing one of the workshops. I think I was going to one of the Northwest Lancashire Chamber ones, Andrew, that was running for the first time. Feed your monkey some bananas. Don't let them feed off you is what I say. A fantastic read, Chimp Paradox. Professor Steve Peters is one of my favourite authors. Again, a great book to read if you're wanting to get into that resilient place right now. So what is emotional intelligence? So emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman's groundbreaking book in 1996, Emotional Intelligence, says it's the idea of our ability to understand and manage our emotions, which then lead us to more success in the world than our IQ. Off training and development material I'm believing to be correct. In one estimate, as little as 4% of real-world success may be related to our IQ, while over 90% may be linked to other forms of intelligence. And again, there's evidence there by Sternberg in 1996 for anybody, you know, that likes the academia behind this. It's interesting. I was listening to Brené Brown last night, who's another, you know, great influencer of mine, and she was interviewing somebody that's really big on emotional intelligence from Yale University, and what they were saying is that there's a lot of people that still believe that intelligence is absolutely the driving force when it really isn't. So if you can get a hold on how you emotionally work, you can adopt the skills to learn quicker and better. And I've seen loads of my clients that have done that with great success. So we're going to have a look at the self-awareness about the personal competency, because we're looking at personal competency and social competency for the next about 25 minutes. So the self-awareness and self-management are the first part we're going to look at now, and then we're going to look at how we connect up with other people and manage our relationships so that we can do that with ease rather than with the disease. Anything with the disease in front isn't good for us. There are 5 features of emotional intelligence. So self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, and social skill. As I said before, it all starts with you. Self-awareness is our ability to perceive our emotions and stay aware of them when it happens. And self-management is your ability to use that awareness of your emotions, stay flexible and positively direct your behaviour. Just before I came on the call today, I had a coaching client early this morning at 8:30 till 9:30, and not sharing their identity, but they've been getting quite angry about something in terms of about what they were doing to themselves and how they were impacting their children. And when I went underneath the initial feeling of anger, the emotion that sat behind it was loneliness. And quite often in my coaching sessions, people will have a tearful moment, because when we go deep and we are uncovering those hidden emotions, we then have to start processing them. So if anybody is feeling a little bit vulnerable today, please do go and talk to somebody. You know, my number is on the end of this, or you can email me, and maybe I can send you some more instant tips. Don't feel you're right there alone, because you're certainly not. So choosing our mindset is key. We've got 2 choices here. We've got survival mode. Well, when we're in survival mode, as Michael shared on the first workshop, we are having strong emotions that hijack the prefrontal cortex of our brain, and it means that we can't sometimes do things. It puts us into that inertia, apathy, or that stress zone that isn't good for us. But the right mindset is our competency mindset, and this is requiring access to the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that allows us that reflection and that planning and that introspection and that imagination and that sense of morality. So as I said earlier, if we put our monkey in the cage, as I'll say to Chaos, get in your cage, you're not coming with me today, I can come from that real good competency mode, and I do a lot. My work is of a higher standard and a better quality, and I feel better and achieve much more. If anybody's seen the drama triangle, I had this sat on my flipboard in my personal office, my own office, which is a converted garage, on my flipboard for about 2 years when I first started my own coaching business. And I would say to my husband, look, you know, stop inviting me to your pity parties. You know, get off your drama triangle. And he used to absolutely hate living with a coach, as you can imagine. And the drama triangle has 3 positions, and we can be on this on our own, or we can invite people into our drama. So as they say, you know, drama knocks at the door, and we either invite it in or we shut the door and say, you can stay out there. So when we're not feeling great about ourselves, we lose our power and we become a victim. And then even ourselves, we can just be on this triangle on our own, and we can rescue ourselves. And for some of you that are in that inertia apathy mode, you might be recognizing what I'm saying right now, because I'm speaking to you because you might take yourself away and hide away, or you might get on the sofa and you might rescue yourself and go more into cozy club than deal with what we've got to process. Or you might start persecuting yourself and blaming yourself for having these thoughts of, you know, life right now feeling difficult. You know, I can't give those loved ones a hug anymore. I certainly have been feeling a victim about that because I'm a big hugger, and I'm rescuing myself by the virtual hugs that people are doing. But it is kind of still not satisfying that need for me. And in the middle of this triangle sits the problem. So I just want you to think about where you might be if you were playing a part on that drama triangle right now. So it probably will be in relation to what you've said earlier in terms of where you've noticed you are in terms of feeling emotionally today. Also where you've sat on the 2x2 support challenge matrix. And they will all correlate and link up. But I am coming to the juicy part of giving you some coping strategies. So where are you right now? So in your own little books, make a note. And if we can have some chats again, just to share where you are. So if you can just choose maybe a position of where you are. And while you're just putting in the chat box some of your thoughts, I was certainly a victim yesterday when I was planning and getting ready for this, and my son, who was starting a new job yesterday afternoon, suddenly his friend hadn't turned up for him on time, and he asked could I give him a lift, and it was just before I was going on the call actually to go through this material, and he threw me, and we both ended up being victims in a big way and not feeling very great. So I couldn't get on with my planning, and he was going to be late for a brand new job. You can imagine what it was like. It was chaos. Chaos was absolutely out with us. Andrew, what have we got in the chat box, please?
Well, let's see. So far, it looks like a bit of the victim side of things from a couple.
Okay. Any other positions?
At the moment, that's what's come through. A lot of things out of control.
Okay. Yeah.
Rescuer, somebody that feels they're in the position of rescuer. A couple of people there. Yeah.
And rescuing, it's absolutely key. Why we, you know, again, if there's any people out there that feel like they're persecuting themselves, or have they invited somebody else in that can be, all your family can be on this at one time. Quite often a persecutor persecutes because unbeknown to them, they are the victim themselves and they've got a problem. And it's a bit what we're going to talk about when I talk about social awareness. It's a bit of that one-upmanship where they're keeping themselves out of the victim, but their life isn't any better. So, you know, please take some comfort from that. It's better being the victim probably than the persecutor. Okay, so instead of actually being on, I don't know what's happened to my slide here, apologies, but instead of actually being on our drama triangle, there's another triangle I'd like to invite you onto, and you can see the bottom right hand side. It is called the empowerment dynamic. And there's an amazing book by an author called David Emerald that tells his lovely story of how he got off his drama triangle onto the empowerment dynamic. Now, to get off our drama triangle, we need to trade the victim mentality into being the creator mindset. And when we are the creator, we're in a place of looking at what solution do we want. So instead of seeing a problem, we start to say, that's not great and helpful. What would be more helpful? What solution do I need right here? So in a sense of you're owning that power to choose to focus on something that you can do. So you're going into that circle of influence and you're making that bigger, which is just so rich for you. The challenger absolutely replaces that persecutor. So instead of persecuting yourself, I just want to invite you, and this is what I do on my coaching program. The first principle is to learn to love yourself and absolutely give yourself praise, practice your gratitudes on a daily basis, and your proud moments, the things you're really proud about. I need you to now own and be your own challenger, but somebody that believes in you. And it's hard because I've been coaching for 20 years and I'm still, I still fall into that, persecutor. And then the coach position is about, instead of rescuing yourself, so where people will go and get cozy, people will come to me, and as a coach, I'll ask them some really powerful questions, like, what's really true about this situation for you right now? What would be a more helpful mindset to be in to move you forward? What can you do? What is the very first step you might take? So again, you can be your own inner coach when you're on the empowerment dynamic. So I think did we do a poll on this one? Sorry, Andrew. Did we do a poll to say which triangle would you like to be on? Have you got that all set up for us?
There we go.
Wonderful. So which triangle are you going to choose to be on from today to consciously? So again, you're waking up that mind. And for the academic people out there in the world, you might have heard of an author called Carol Dweck. She does a lot on emotional intelligence. And, she's a big believer, again, of we need to get into an open growth mindset. And this model is an amazing model to help us do that. So this model, I've termed as the TMO model. I don't know that it's actually out there, this model. I haven't seen it I've seen it in a lot of different formats, but I've created this as the T is for the trigger. Now, what happens if we're on that drama triangle? Think about something that triggers you. So I just want you to bring something to mind that's recently triggered you. So I told you about my son opening my office door today. It triggered me. My monkey was out of the cage. I was all over the place. I wasn't in a great mindset at that particular point. And instead of doing the mind talk, so you can see my minus the mind talk on this slide, I went straight to the outcome, and you can see the hands in the face. What did I do? My son went off to work, to his new job. He was saying, oh, forget about picking me up later, Mum. I'll get myself, don't bother talking to me again. And about 6 o'clock that evening, I felt really guilty, and my mind talk had kicked in a bit late, I had. And I sent him a text to go, Tom, I'll pick you up after work, and Gran's made you some nice chops for tea. And I was being all remorseful. And to which he came back and said, oh, you're speaking to me now. So my children, because I do this and shared it with them, the great mirrors for me. And long story short, he came home at 10 o'clock and we sat down and we had a talk about how we needed to do things differently, both of us. And it ended at 11 o'clock of him giving me a big hug at 22. And this is being recorded and he'll probably want to kill me, warts and all, and said, I love you, Mum. And that is just all it needs. It's about us sorting our differences out. So I'm inviting you to think about how you tackle your emotions. And I'm going to give you some hints and tips on how to, do that mind talk today. So I just want you to take a minute, and I can't see anybody, by the way, because I can only see my slides. But if just for 1 minute, you just want to turn off your video, I just want to invite you to literally stop. So this stop acronym was put together by a Dr. Alicia Goldstein, a psychologist. And so again, another name for you to Google. And it's literally, and doing my coaching supervision, I'm reflecting so much more in terms of stopping. It is making me more emotionally intelligent than I was before, because I'm stopping, I'm reflecting, I'm going quicker with my goals than I've ever gone. So I just want you to take a minute. I want you to, if you feel safe, close your eyes just for one moment and take a lovely inward breath. Now, this might be hard for people that haven't done this before, but this is, I want you to just feel it and embody it. I did it with my client this morning, and we love it. So breathe in through your nose and feel that breath. Does it feel warm as it goes up your nose, or cool? And imagine that breath going down through your throat, through your heart. I know we don't breathe through our hearts, but just let your stomach expand out. Call it tummy breathing. As you breathe out, just let go. We've got some people on this call that really just need to let go of all that emotion. Anything that you don't want to hold on to, let it go. Another breath in. And just let go. As you're taking the breath, I want you to observe what is happening right now. What is your experience? What's your body now starting to feel like? What are those emotions for you right now? What thoughts are entering in? If thoughts are entering into your head, thank them. Say thank you for that thought. Bringing that attention to me. I was struggling with my son yesterday. Scan my body and notice those sensations. Just breathing in again. And just let go of everything. Now again, when I was on my resilience training many years ago, Dr. John Perry actually said that 4 simple breaths, breathing in, tummy breathing, 4 times a day, that is what he did with a lot of surgeons and people that are doing critical work with us, just to get us in that right mindset. Because I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want a surgeon operating on me if they weren't in a great mindset. And we're now ready to proceed and plan our next steps. So this is the TMO model with the mind talking. So I just want you now to think about that trigger again, something that's triggered you. And I want you to take the breath, and I want you to now add the mind talk. And I just want you to say what's really true about this situation right now. What is my head saying? What is my heart saying? So your head is speaking the logic. So my head yesterday was saying to me, oh, I just need to get on and I need to plan this and I need to deliver this workshop really well and show people that I can do this really well. And my heart was saying, I need to take him to the supermarket because he has to get there for his job. And my gut was saying, what is the right thing to do? Run out in my slippers, get into the supermarket, go steady, do the breathing in the car, go safely. And the outcome was that I got back, he got to his job on time. I came back and did some mindfulness to ground myself again. So just make a note of your trigger. And I want you to start thinking today, how can you recognise when this trigger comes up? When the trigger takes hold, please think about the breathing that you can do. Such a wonderful thing. The breathing, as Michael shared with you, gets you back into that competency mind frame mindset. Okay, we should be having a break, but I'm going to move on because we've 10 minutes, so apologies if anybody. Is there any questions so far? Andrew, is there anything that we just need to answer before I go on to the final part?
Don't see anything in the chat box, so I suppose we can just move right along.
Thank you, fantastic. So the final part is the emotional intelligence of the social awareness and the relationship management. And this is the ability to accurately pick up on emotions now of others. So again, I'd say the first step, if you're in that space of inertia, apathy or stress, just work on your own today. But again, here's a couple of exercises that you can do to help other people with your ability. So again, it's your ability, the relationship manager, to use your awareness of your emotions and the other person's emotions so that you interact with success. So the first instant tip is, to understand anybody else, we must seek to understand before we can be understood. A great quote that I live by, which Stephen Covey created. And so I always encourage people, if you're working with teams, and you have to lead somebody, or if you're a person that as a leader, just ask if you can have a sit down and a conversation to say how you are going to be together. And just a few instant tips that I'm sharing today are, if I'm having a one-to-one meeting with Andrew, for example, I would want Andrew to know that we met once a month and that I was going to coach him every week or every fortnight, and that I'd expect him to be in 15-minute rubs, regular update briefings with me each day. So we both set out our expectations of what we need and want from that relationship and what we will do for each other. And again, I have what I call some killer questions around this, and I will ask people, how do you want me to be when you've done something that hasn't quite met that expectation of what you set out to do for me? So say you're working towards a business objective and you haven't quite made it because you haven't been feeling in the right place, or you're feeling out of control right now. It could be a very good reason for it, but how do you want me to be with you? And 99% of the time, and I've done this hundreds of times, people often say, just tell me as it is, Katy. Now, the moment I go to telling people as it is, and the reason why I really strongly recommend you contract with those that you love, because you can be yourself, the moment somebody's chimp comes out of the box and they go, oh, I don't want to take this feedback, I can actually say to them, but just let's stop a moment. So the stop acronym, let's pause for breath and let's think about what's going on here, because when we designed our relationship and I contracted with you, it said tell me as it is, and I'm telling you as it is. What is it that is impacting you right now? And usually I hold that space for them. I give them a little bit of time, because we've got to give people time to catch up. And at that particular point, they usually actually say, it's just, I feel embarrassed. The true emotion comes flooding through, or they might start crying because they haven't achieved something, because they're feeling guilty or vulnerable, or that they're letting themselves down and me down. And we can then deal with it. And the purpose is, I want to get people to feel in a relationship with me that I'm okay, you're okay. And this is another model that you can look at to go away and, socially interact with people in a good way, and to check in. So, am I okay today? Are you okay? I want you all to take away one thing that you can do differently. And the OK Corral was created by Franklin Ernest in 1971, if you want to go away and reference it. And Eric Byrne is sort of the daddy of transactional analysis, where we look at how different people impact on each other emotionally by being in different ego states. So yesterday, when my son came knocking at the door, we both ended up with, I'm not okay, you're not okay, because we went into conflict with each other. I hate being in that place, and I hate's a strong word, but I don't like it. It doesn't feel good, because I like everybody to be okay. However, the top left-hand corner quadrant you can see is I'm okay, you're not okay. If you are feeling stressed and under pressure, it might be that you step into your power and you're too eager to take control. When we take control, we can sometimes overpower and take power away from other people and put them into a place of not feeling okay with who they are. And we call that one-upmanship. So just be mindful. Have you done the self-awareness stuff that I've talked to you about earlier? Have you paused? Have you stopped for breath? And have you taken back that control? Have you checked in and said to the person, how are you in all of this? If you're not okay, the bottom right quadrant, and they're not okay, then effectively that's going to lead you to feeling possibly hopeless and in that inertia apathy box, which isn't a great place. So there's one thing you can do, and you can look at this, we call it perceptual positions. So imagine that you have 3 seats in front of you right now, and you've got yourself in one chair. So sit in the middle chair, like I did yesterday with my son, and said, what's going on for me right now? What am I seeing? I'm seeing him coming into my space, messing my day up. How am I feeling? I'm feeling frustrated right now about this, and I'm hearing him getting angry and shouting because he's needing to go for his job. Take myself out of that chair, put myself into the recipient's chair, my son's chair. What is he seeing? He's seeing mum that might not care for his needs. He's hearing mum say she's too busy. He's actually feeling about that situation really vulnerable right now because he's going for a new job. It's a new job. He's perhaps scared. The helicopter view is the third chair. We rise above and we look at the view, and I say, what is going on between mum and son right now? They're both under pressure, both under stress. We're fearful about, I'm trying to work from home because of the virus. He's going out into an environment that is potentially now he's going to be a key worker. We both need to come back together and ask each other what we need and what we want. So I just want you to reflect for one more moment and just see where you might be right now and what are your key takeaways from today's session.
The views in this workshop don't necessarily reflect those of Upskilling Lancashire or UCLan, and all facts were believed to be correct at the time of recording here on the 9th June 2020.